Hey everybody, Quad Kings 33 here, and today I have a first for the channel, something unique that I have not posted before, but it is very important to me. It's very sentimental to me, so I know it's a hockey channel. This is not a hockey product, but it's something that I felt would be pretty cool. Hopefully you guys and gals will like it too, and that is the Deluxe Collector's Edition of 1991 Desert Storm Coalition for Peace, or Series 1 cards from the first Gulf War from Topps. And a lot of you might be saying, well, you know, Quad Kings, you're a hockey card channel. Why is this on your channel? Well, you know, I am a hockey card channel, but the short answer of this is because this reminds me of my dad. My dad, if you've been around the channel for a while, especially if you watched the My Favorite Cards videos, you know that my dad's not here anymore. He passed away in 2009 when I was 24, 25, something like that. But when I was a little kid, I was trying to understand what was going on with Desert Storm. And my dad, always wanting to teach me new things, really dove into, you know, he bought me a big map of the Middle East, and on the bottom of the map it had all the names of the countries and their flags, and he would tell me, like, you know, who's invading who, and like why the world responded the way it did. And then when there was a little like nickel mon pa candy store that was a 5-minute walk from, you know, my childhood house, and we would go up there, and I think they were like 50 cents a pack, and we would buy, you know, he would buy me a pack, and we would open it up and we would discuss it, because also at that time, because my dad was in the Air Force during Vietnam, you know, I was in love with everything fighter planes, fighter jets, military equipment, right? You know, Dad was like a hero to me, so I thought all this stuff was super cool, and yeah, I wanted to get into it and you know, get some nostalgic memories. So picked this up off of eBay, and oh, okay, so there are no packs, it's just the cards, and we'll get into it. Again, this may not be your thing, and I get it. But you know, in addition to my dad serving in the Air Force, my grandfather served in World War II. So it's my brother was in the Army. So it's kind of like a family pride thing. And if you, by the way, if you hear the air conditioner, the central AC is blasting because we are about to get a wicked storm. So don't want it to get too hot if we lose power. Hopefully it's not coming through too loud. Okay, so we have a sticker card of the American flag. I guess these are all stickers. Yeah, another sticker of the American flag. And like I said, I mean, this just reminds me of Dad, who I miss very much. But we have U.S. Central Command, the Department of the Navy, Congressional Medal of Honor. Every time I see that, I know it's a, you know, very, very prestigious, you know, it's the most prestigious award that you can get as a soldier. But I think of Forrest Gump. Dad would love that. The U.S. Air Force emblem. Desert Storm Coalition for Peace. The 2nd Infantry motto, "Do not touch me." 6th Field Artillery. The 62nd Air Defense Artillery motto, "We aim at high things." Okay. The 17th Cavalry motto, "Forward." The 503rd Infantry, "The Rock." The 41st Field Artillery, motto, mission accomplished. The 48th Infantry, motto, the Dragon. The 506th, motto, stands alone. We got 34th Armor, the strong arm for victory. I like this one. This one's pretty cool. The 504th Infantry, motto, strike, hold. Just real quick, so I actually have a tattoo of this, but when my dad was stationed, I believe it was in Thailand, their logo was the Roadrunner with the Air Force logo underneath of it, which I thought was pretty cool. So when he passed away, I got a tattoo of that. 73rd Armor, motto, honor, fidelity, and courage. The 320th Field Artillery, willing and able. 8th Field Artillery, daring and tenacious. 75th Infantry, of their own accord. And then finally, the last sticker, the 37th Field Artillery, on the minute. Alright, so those are all the sticker cards. But yeah, I just love the fighter jets, and anytime there's an air show, me and my dad would go, or now me and my wife go. So we'll divvy it up, and we'll go from there. So we have the French Mirage fighter. General, I know this guy by the look of him, General Schwarzkopf. The Power of the Tomahawk, which is the self-guided cruise missile. That's pretty cool. Ready in the cockpit. One of the kids that I graduated high school with, his office is at 60,000+ feet in an F-15 cockpit. So that's pretty cool. Definitely not where I work. Heat Storm in the Gulf. And we have the Patriot Control Center. Patriot missiles. I don't know if they're deployed in Ukraine as we speak, but they were to shoot down the Iraqi Scud missiles. Here we have a picture of two A-10 Warthogs. A quiet moment. USS America. I don't know if that's a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier or not. The AIM-9 Sidewinder missile. That's very cool. Don't want to be staring down the wrong end of that. The USS Ouellette frigate. Tomahawk cruise missile in flight. The Iraqi Scud missile. Scud Missile A. And we have General Richard Graves. Britain's Harrier, because don't forget, this was not just the Americans. This was a global coalition to kick Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. Anti-aircraft chemical gear. Mid-air refueling. Fueling up, taking a sip of gas from the KC-135. The Phoenix missile, if I'm not mistaken, that's a air-to-ground missile. And judging from the size of it, pretty good payload and probably good range. Carrier ship at night, looking at the superstructure of a U.S. aircraft carrier. Again, probably the Nimitz, I would say. Nimitz class. Paratrooper in flight. USS Midway. That is not a Nimitz class carrier, I know that. The F-18 cockpit. That's pretty cool. Really rudimentary looking now that everything is like fly-by-wire and computer screens. Machine gunner. We have Scud Missile B. I remember watching all the missile intercepts on CNN and, you know, night vision. Our Secretary of Defense, Dick Cheney, who confused his friend for a quail when hunting. This was one of the coolest planes, I thought, when I was a little kid. The F-117 Nighthawk. This was the one that was shot down over Kosovo. I thought that was the coolest thing till I saw the B-2 Spirit. The Aegis Control Center, that would be on board a, I believe, a guided missile cruiser. If I could be wrong about that, but Navy stuff I'm not too familiar with. Sunset on the F-14 Tomcat, which is no longer in service. The Hawk missile. I've never heard of that either. At the controls, I'm guessing... maybe an E-2 Hawkeye? I'm not really sure. Oh, let me see if it says. At the controls, cockpit of the plane. Yeah. Okay. Moving in, the Carrier Strike Group. The Carrier obviously is never alone. It has a whole host of ships with it. Machine guns ready. Preparing to jump. No, thank you, sir. Night vision goggles. There it is. Our Patriot missile to shoot down the Scuds. George Herschel Walker Bush. Patriot Missile Command Center with the phased array radar. Airborne unit. Mission accomplished on the Carrier. That's a F-18. View from above, we have what I assume is 3 F-14 Tomcats. Marine firefighters. Now, I don't know if that is during training or if that's when Saddam Hussein lit the oil fields on fire, which, if you haven't seen a video of that, my God, look that up. Talk about an environmental disaster. In flight with the A-7. I believe that's a Grumman plane. Grumman A-7. The USS Wisconsin. World War II era big battleship with some big guns. I think they're 16-inch guns. Bunch of frigates. USS Iowa. Look at that. You can see the shockwave from firing these guns. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this ship, I think it was the Iowa, it had a turret. I believe it was the second turret from the bow. It had a mishap and it killed, I think, 77 people. Something happened inside the turret. Not during the Gulf War, but just, you know, wearing the gas mask. I remember my brother distinctly telling me during pepper spray training or whatever they had to do, the gas, that was not fun. The CH-53 Super Stallion, which is now replaced with the CH-53, I can't remember what letter, but the King Stallion. This does not look impressive, but when you see this helicopter in real life, this thing is a behemoth. Hummer land vehicle, before we had to worry about IEDs. Dawn in the Desert. AH-64 Apache, before they came out with the longbow Apache with the big radome on top of the rotor there. But that is a gnarly piece of equipment. Up away into the wild blue yonder. F-16 Falcons. Helicopter formation. Yeah. A bunch of Blackhawks there. And manning the M110. I believe that is a artillery, a piece of artillery, mobile artillery. A little bit left. The amazing Harrier. And if you have ever seen this do what it does at an air show, it is quite impressive. That is a very cool plane. Flying high, the F-18, which went on to replace the F-14 in naval operations, carrier operations. The Sentry, an E-3A, or what's called AWACS. That's a very cool plane. I believe it's modeled on a Boeing 707, just like the KC-135. We have F-14 Tomcats flying in formation. Another Stallion helicopter. Chief of Staff General Merrill McPeak. Never heard of him before. M2 Bradley, personnel carrier. I wouldn't call it so much a tank, right? That's like the M1A1, the Leopard, the Challenger, ready for takeoff. F-18 just sitting there waiting for the shooter to launch it. The Pentagon. I've actually seen that building from the air. That is quite impressive. It is very large. So F-14 Tomcat with some air-to-ground munitions loaded. Taking off in an F-18, something I would love to do. That would be very cool. F-18 wants to fly, or waits to fly. I can read, I promise. F-15, one of the coolest air superiority fighters ever. CH-47 Chinook, heavy lift helicopter. It can transport an entire howitzer in a sling below it. The TOW anti-tank missile. Pilot's eye view. I'm guessing 2 F-14s flying in formation. General Colin Powell. Sunset on the Desert. Wings over Egypt. I remember having this card. I have been fascinated with the pyramids ever since I was a little kid. I remember this card very, very, very distinctly. So I'm glad I got that one. Army supply ship. And we have a Huey. UH-1 Huey. Tanks take a strong hold. Indeed they did. After, what was that? Operation Rolling Thunder. Or what was it? Oh, that's going to bother me. EA-6B Prowler. That is a electronic warfare and like radar seeking. They would use the HARM missile to seek out the radiation of radar sites. And when they got close enough, which is very dangerous to the plane, they would fire their HARM missile and destroy that radar array. The M1, now A1 or A2 Abrams tank, 120 millimeter smoothbore cannon, satellite dish, okay, Canadian Air Force CF-18, because again, remember, it's a coalition of nations, lining up the tanks, even though that's not so much a tank as a piece of artillery. Admiral Frank Kelso. You got some crazy eyebrows, man. We have a checklist. A CH-53 helicopter dispensing some chaff. Some flare action. F-111 Aardvark. Some swept wing bomber action. Those are very cool if you ever go to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. They're very cool. The SH-60B helicopter. A-10s in formation. Man, if you hear their gun, that is just I would not want to hear that in combat and be against it. B-52 Stratofortress, a plane that, as it stands right now, there are young airmen in the Air Force right now whose grandfathers flew the first variants of the B-52. And it will stay in service, I think they said, until 2040 or 2050, which is just incredible. The F-117, again, state-of-the-art stealth fighter bomber. Not really a fighter. It had no defensive weaponry. And then the UH-1B, I think, the Cobra. Very thin as opposed to the Apache, but would not want to get into a fight with that either. So hopefully you guys and gals liked it. I know it's a little deviation from the norm for the channel, but it was nice to take a trip down memory lane, and yeah, hopefully you like it. The next video I will be back with a blaster of ice that I ordered off of Target, so it should come Wednesday. I'll probably put out the video either Thursday or Friday. But yeah, hopefully you liked it. It was a little something different. But I think it's also important to talk about, you know, there were a lot of people that came back, and they were never the same. You know, I remember my dad really never talked too much about Vietnam, but I know, you know, he would have periodic nightmares where he would wake up the entire house just screaming bloody murder, and he wouldn't talk about it. And I know that these guys that fought in the first Gulf War went through some crap, you know, and it's important to, you know, to not let them be forgotten, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cool. I really like the cards. They're basic, you know, no foil, no nothing. But for 1991, you know, being a little boy trying to understand what was going on halfway across the globe, you know, these were pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully you liked it. Again, as I do at the end of every video, if you like the video, if you like the other videos, if you like the channel so far, please feel free, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. If you like the video, smash that like button, and then put down in the comment, you know, do you have relatives that were in the armed forces? If so, you know, what were they in? Were they in the Air Force? You know, what branch of service are you representing? What did they do there? You know, when were they there? Was it Vietnam, desert, you know, the first Gulf War? Just let me know. I'm very curious because, you know, I don't think that this gets talked about enough. You know, poor Kuwait was invaded by a murderous dictator, and the world said no. And, you know, it kind of has some similarities to what's going on in Ukraine at the current moment. And, you know, would the response have been different if Saddam Hussein did indeed have nuclear weapons like Vladimir Putin has? You know, would the whole world have gone in there and did what they did, or would they have had to try something different? But, you know, I can't remember the name of the operation. It wasn't Rolling Thunder. That was in Vietnam. But it was their first bunch of airstrikes, right? It was Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from, you know, from frigates or guided missile cruisers out at sea. It was a very, very complicated electronic warfare type, you know, striking key targets with the stealth bomber. And then when the radars and everything was kind of softened up, you had the F-14s and F-18s go in there and do what they did with the F-117 Aardvark, or F-111 Aardvarks, and the British Tornadoes, and low-level bombing and all that. It's incredibly fascinating. If you see the opening day, there's videos that illustrate this. The opening kind of salvo from the Allied coalition, and how basically in a night they crippled the Iraqi ability to fight. So, and we all know, Saddam lit the oil fields on fire, or was that the second time? I can't remember. But I mean, it was like an overwhelming punch to the throat. And it was something that the Iraqi military was just not prepared for. So it's a shame that lesson did not go down, for all of time, so that a bigger, badder country would stop invading a smaller, weaker country, because we're still feeling the ramifications of that today, which, again, is, I think, important to make sure that these guys aren't forgotten, that these soldiers aren't forgotten, what they did and what they fought for, the sovereignty of a nation. It's important. And I don't know, maybe because I come from a military family, and I knew how important the Air Force was to Dad, it resonates with me. So again, like, comment, subscribe, and really, if you have someone in your family that served in the armed forces, whether it's the U.S. or Canada or wherever you may be, England, who knows? Let me know in the comments. I'm anxious to see what people have to say. All right, well, that's it for me. I'm gonna get going, and I will see you in the next hockey video, which again will be a blaster of Upper Deck Ice, and see if we can pull something good. Until then, everyone have a great evening. Quad Kings 33 signing out. See you in the next one.